Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews, and it's a fifth week, so you know what that means. It's a really, really small week. There really wasn't much from DC this week. There was a Harley Quinn special and a Milestone special. I kind of looked them over. I wasn't particularly overwhelmed. I'm not saying they're bad. It's just, they were those type of books are really always kind of a mixed bag because some of them are really good, some stories are really not so good. But I didn't really feel that they were enough to kind of go through. But your mileage may vary on that. Marvel didn't even have hardly any books this week. Really, it's the independents that really make up the bulk of this week's stuff. So let's get cracking. First up, we have Where Monsters Lie, *1, written by Kyle Starks with artwork by Piotr Kowalski. I really, really like this book. What it is the serial killers live in a gated community, and they have houses and stuff, and then, but what happens is that Puzzle Man decides to kill victims in the community, which is a no-no, and it's against the homeowners association rules. And so they're contemplating, the lady who runs the serial killer village, basically. She's kind of like getting tired. Things are changing. Some of the serial killers have kind of gone kind. One of them starts to garden. That's his big thing now. He's not a serial killer anymore. It's really quite fascinating how this is really a really dark humor book that has a horror tinge to it. I really like what Starks has set up here in the book, and this first issue gets off to a really good start, and Kowalski's artwork's really nice. There's a lot of detail in the artwork, and I think one of my favorite ones is the clown serial killer. How he he's depressed, and he has a happy face, but he's depressed. It's really interesting. The setup here is really good. And with the way that the first issue ends, it's going to be really interesting to see where Stark takes this story in this miniseries. So I really liked it. It's one of my favorite books of the week. I definitely highly recommend checking it out. Next up, we have Almighty #1, written and drawn by Edouard LaRoche. So this is another post-apocalyptic story where this... So what it is there's cities that are safe cities, and then there's kind of the outside where it's kind of like all over the place. So this girl gets kidnapped. Basically, the best way to kind of describe it is by like at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family. Now, it's not Leatherface or anything like that, but it's kind of that family dynamic that movie had. And so what it is there's Fail has been hired to go find the girl. So she gets her out, and now they have to try to make their way back to the safe city while the family is now trying to hunt them down. So that's kind of the setup in this first issue. I wouldn't say, once again, I mean, we're seeing so many post-apocalyptic comics that it's not even funny anymore. But this one's got some promise. I did like the fact that there's a number of times where it's basically like there's no dialogue. It's all told visually, which was quite interesting. And so, like I said, I wasn't necessarily overwhelmed by the story, but I did really like the artwork. Was actually quite nice. I think this is going to be one of those books where it's going to be dependent on where LaRoche is going to take this story from this first issue, because first issue is kind of a setup. So we're going to kind of have to wait and see where he's actually going to take it from here. I liked it. I just didn't quite love it, but I think it's worth kind of looking into. Next up, we have Breath of Shadows #1, written by Rick Dueck with artwork by Alex Cormack. So what this is you have Jimmy, he's this rock star, and he's using this weird kind of LSD type drug called El Peru Waka. And so what it is he hallucinates, and when he starts to hallucinate, he takes more of the drug to kind of like not hallucinate anymore. So what it is, the bands, like, they need, they're trying, the record company saying, hey, you keep effing up, and we need a new album that you promised, blah blah blah. And so, but he says, well, I need to go to Mexico and get, like, on a trip. And they disguise the whole thing as like a PR thing where he's going there to get more of the drug. I wasn't necessarily sold on this first issue. I think, there's a lot of exposition here, but the premise was pretty basic, and I overall, like I said, I think there's some good ideas there. It just wasn't bowled over by it. Now, normally, the last few books that Dweck has written, I've really enjoyed. Not that this one's bad. It just seemed like it just got off to a bit slower start. Cormac's art's nice. There is a couple times where it seemed a little bit on the stiff side, but it wasn't bad. It was just kind of like a little light in some areas. That's kind of the best way I'll put it. I'll give it a second issue, but like I said, it was a little iffy on this first issue. Next up, we have Blood Tree #1, written by Peter J. Tomasi, with artwork by Maxim Simic. So what this is there is Dario, who's the detective, and so there's this parade, holiday parade, and then he notices something falling from the sky, so he pushes the mayor and everybody out of the way. And what it is it's a fallen angel. And so they go to try to find what's going on, and they're trying to crack the case, and then along the way another angel falls during a baseball game at the stadium. And so they kind of discover that this is a pattern. So there's a serial killer that's killing people and then turning them into angels, and then kind of flopping them out. It really was quite interesting. I really like this. You might know Tomasi from his work at DC. He did Super Sons. He did a lot of work over there. I really like the story here. I like that it's a detective crime book and murder mystery. It on the surface, it's a pretty basic structure, but I like the angle with the fallen angels and stuff, and why the serial killer is doing this. It's really quite interesting, and Simic's artwork's actually really nice. I was really kind of surprised by this book. I did really enjoy it. So I think it's worth checking out, and I'm kind of interested to see where Tomasi takes it from this first issue. Next up, we have Black Tate #1, written by Dan Poncian, with artwork by Dilibor Talik. So what this is it's the irony of this, another story about a rock star. This one, in this case, is Jack, who has died. Now, we don't know how he died. We just know that he's died, and his recent wife, Cindy, she's really upset and everything, and she doesn't really know much about him because they had just gotten married. And so this first issue is set up, they're going to the funeral, and you get to know Cindy and kind of the situation with Jack and everything. And then at the end of this issue, she discovers that there's a hidden room underneath the house, under Jack's house. And I don't want to give away any more, but what she sees is quite interesting. Pantheon, like, the script is like good. I think the thing that might throw people off is this first issue is pretty much really exposition heavy. So it's really just the setup of getting to know Cindy and the characters, and then the reveal at the end of the issue. Kind of like, so okay, this is where the story's going. So just keep that in mind. Checking this issue out. Talik's artwork is nice. It gets the job done. Mostly it's like people stand around talking. So if you can do that as an artist, I always say that then you've done your job, because that's the hardest thing to do, to keep it visually interesting while people are just standing around talking. I think it's got promise. I wouldn't say that I was overwhelmed by the first issue, but I think it shows promise. Next up, we have Silver Surfer Ghostlight #1, written by John Jennings, with artwork by Valentin D. Lorando. So what this is this family, the mother, her brother has been missing, and he's been missing so long he's been declared dead. So in the will, the family gets the house, and they move out of New York City to like very far away. And So they're, kind of getting a fresh start and everything. So what it is Tony is the daughter and Josh is the boy. So the parents are going out for a night on the town. And so Tony and Josh decide to, hey, we're still weirded out by by our uncle's mysterious disappearance. So they start searching the house, and the dad specifically told them not to go out to the shed in the back. Well, of course they go out to the shed in the back. Then they discover that there's a secret laboratory underneath there. And so what it is, they accidentally fire off this gun, and it calls the Silver Surfer. I don't really want to say more because there is a bit of a reveal towards the end, but it does signal the Silver Surfer to come to Earth. Look, I love Silver Surfer. I really loved Dan Slott's and Michael Allred's Silver Surfer from a number of years back. That was really a good run. And Tradd Moore's Silver Surfer Black is really good. You should check both of those out. So it's been a while since we've had, I think, a good Silver Surfer book. So I really like what Jennings has set up here. And now, even though Silver Surfer is not, barely in the book at all, I like the setup because, especially with the Allred run, we really saw the whole cosmic thing. So I think what Jennings is doing here is adding kind of a different mix. And at least this first issue is very much based on Earth. So it'll be really interesting to see where he takes it. I really like Delandro's artwork. Some of his recent Marvel work I've really enjoyed. So I think he's a really good choice. Once again, there's a lot of people just kind of standing around talking. So there's, it's really, I liked it, and I think it shows a lot of promise. So that is kind of worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Briar #3, written by Christopher Cantwell, with artwork by German Garcia. Now, I think this has been a little late because I think the last issue I reviewed quite a while ago. So this book must be running late, but it's finally back. So what it is Briar and her two traveling companions. So what it is, it starts off with a flashback to her mom telling her the story about Captain Bligh. And, he set up the settlement. They built a castle and stuff. So that gets you to the point where they show up at this castle and they try to get in. She says, "I'm Briar Rose." And they're like, "Yeah, you're dead." And basically it turns into Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where they just dump poop on them, basically. And so they won't let them in. So they decide they find that gnomes are living around there. So she's like, "Oh, gnomes are cute and everything." And you find out that they're like basically these drunken midgets, basically. And so they go there and they try to figure out, they kind of want to figure out what's going on with the castle and why they can't get in. And then, of course, the villain that is chasing to try to recapture Briar shows up at the end. So this is kind of a middle part of the story. And but I did like, I loved his take on gnomes. I especially like the Monty Python, the Holy Grail sort of thing going on with the castle. Once again, I'm really digging what Cantwell's doing with the Sleeping Beauty story. I think he's giving it a nice spin and twist. And Garcia's artwork is really nice. This is a really good looking book. But once again, you definitely need to read the first couple issues to lead you up to this one. But I am continuing to like where the book is going. So I still think it's worth checking out. Next up, we have Children of the Black Sun, #2, written by Dario Sico, with artwork by Lizia Condesini. So the first issue, as I described last month, it's kind of like, in a way, think of the film Village of the Damned, the one with the kids they're all the same. So what it is there were two times in history where the sun completely blacked out, and then there were children that were born during this time, and they kind of have these special powers, and they're kind of like outcasts. They're like weirder than the other kids. So what we learn in this issue is that they all have these special powers, and it's not psychic. It's kind of like a tuning fork. They're able to tune in to people's, kind of vibe or channel, and basically they can kind of make them do things. And so, yeah, it's kind of like they explain it that way, but it's kind of like, possession, or not really possession, but psychic sort of thing, but not psychic. And so what it is the kids, the first Black Sun kids are now older, so their job now is to train the younger ones to kind of use their power. So the question is, why are they trying to change them, and what is their plan? And what it is the youngest one, Clementine, she doesn't want to really use these powers for like bad. Not that the other kids are bad, but they're kind of like, they're not necessarily good. So there's kind of going to be that conflict going on. I like a lot of the concept here that Sicko has come up with. I think it's a really good idea. I also like how he's explaining in this issue, kind of like where scientists are trying to figure out why the sun blacked out, what happened, and how it kind of affected not only regular people but these kids. So there's kind of that going on in the background. And Condosi's artwork is a little on the light side, but I think it actually fits the story really well. It's kind of a simple style that actually really fits it, because once again, it's a lot of dialogue here. There's not a lot of action. So but I'm liking the idea of the book, and I think it's we'll check out the third issue when it comes along. So finally this week, this was an oldie, but Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries number 4, written by Amanda Diebert, with artwork by Scott Gerald. This came out a few weeks ago, but the distributor didn't send it to my comic shop. It happens every once in a while, but I finally got it. So I'm a big fan of this book. I was a bit disappointed with this issue, only because it didn't really have Batman, and it was more just kind of a regular Scooby-Doo mystery, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I love Scooby-Doo and everything. I just felt a little disappointed that it really didn't have a lot of Batman, or other like DC, possible DC characters. But that's a kind of a minor gripe in the thing. It's still a fun little story. They go to the beach, and there's a psychic, and then she's apparently making ghosts appear and causing chaos, but it's a typical Scooby-Doo mystery. I just, like I said, I think it's just that's fine for a Scooby story, but if you're doing Scooby and Batman, I think it needs to be a little bit more. So in that respect, I was a little disappointed. I still enjoy the book. I think it's a great all ages book. Gerald's artwork does a nice job of capturing the animation style and everything. It's always a good looking book. I just hope that it kind of gets a little bit back to the Batman and Scooby-Doo aspect of the premise and title of the book. So that's going to do it this week, kids. Yep, it's a really light week, I told you. So as always, public service announcement, I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner runs a great store. There's Annie, Eduardo, Derek, Wendy. It's a great store. They have a great Facebook group page you can check out. You can I post stuff, Derek posts it. We all post stuff up there, like news and fun things. And the store is really, it's really awesome. They offer, they have a pull service, so you don't miss any of your books. They offer trades and graphic novels at 30% off every day. They offer 20% off a manga. They have a gently used section of books where they're marked down even more. So it's a really great store, and Ryan's just a great guy all around. So that's the Long Beach location. Now there is Pulp Fiction Culver City. It's a separate store, same name, separate owner. Chris and her team run that. Have a lot of the same discounts. So if you live more in the LA area, definitely check that out. But as always, really support your local comic shop. Times are tough, and there's not been a lot of really big books coming out. So definitely make sure you pick up if you have a pull, definitely pick up your pulls. Don't let it get behind. And weeks like this are great to not only catch up with that, but to maybe pick up some trades and graphic novels that you missed. And that way you're still getting stuff, and you have something to read, and you're supporting your local comic shop, which is always, to me, the most important thing you can do, because they're the backbone of the industry. And yes, I understand the creators are exceptionally important because they give us the product, but really the retailers or the local comic shops are the one that really are the lifeblood of the industry and kind of keep it going. So definitely support them. And as always, we end our show with be kind. Being kind doesn't cost anything. Being kind is good for you. Being kind to other people is amazing. Just being kind, do the little things in life are sometimes the most important. Somebody's having a bad day, you open the door for them. It's really that simple, folks. So being kind is just it's good for you, and it's good for everyone else. So that's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. As always, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Comments or constructive criticism is always appreciated, if necessary. But just please like and share these videos. It really helps keep the numbers up. So thanks for watching. This is Steven from popculturemaven.com signing off. Have a great week. We'll do it again next week, and hopefully we'll have a lot more comics to review. So take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.